Hello ladies, I want to do a video today. I want to talk about something that's been coming up. It's been coming up for me, it's been coming up for some of my clients, it's been talked about a little bit in some of my programs, and so I thought I should do a video about this. So bear with me, okay? Alright, so I want to share how jealousy helped my business, and I want to also give you a different perspective on how jealousy could help you in your business, and maybe a different way to look at it, right? So in the beginning of my business, I guess I was jealous. I guess you could call it jealous. I'm not ashamed to say it. It's not a bad thing, and I'm going to share with you why it's not a bad thing. In the beginning, when I started my business, I of course was going through the cycle of trying to figure out who I was and what was my message, what type of programs did I want to put together and who did I want to work with. Like, I was going through the phase of trying to figure that out, right? Which we all go through that. And in the process of doing that, of course, I was connecting with other women that were doing what I wanted to be doing. They were thought leaders in the industry. They were successful. Needless to say, they were at least a step ahead of me. And so I would connect with them on social media, and I would get into the groups that they were in. I would get on their list so I could see what they were doing, and I would check out their website. And I got really fascinated with just the flow of their business, like how amazing their website looked and the pictures that were on their website. And when I'd opt into their list, I'd get this beautiful email, and it would just be so perfectly said. And so I started paying attention to this, and I saw that each of these women had those same things. Like, they all had these beautiful websites. Their messaging spoke so clearly to me. Like, it just seemed so perfect. The emails were amazing. They came in just the right amount of times a week. They always seemed to say the right things. The pictures and the images in them were beautiful. Their following on social media seemed, perfect, right? They had so many fans. They had great content going out on their pages, and they had really awesome engagement. And in the beginning, this was kind of, it was exciting to see, and it gave me some inspiration, but at the same time, I felt envious, like really jealous. Like, how come they're able to do this and I'm not? Like, how is this so easy for them? Like, how do they have all of these fans? How are their emails so flowing so seamlessly? Like, they're so perfect. I don't understand. And I noticed, like, after a short time that it started to negatively bother me and have an impact on me in a negative way. And, instead of looking at it like, wow, this is amazing, good for you, like, I could do this, instead I was saying, like, how the hell are you doing this and I'm not? Like, what the hell makes you so special? And I remember having that negative energy. And, I would just have this different look on what they were doing. More of a way like, I felt like they thought they were better than other people, or better than me. I felt that they had an upper hand. There must have been some luck there for them to be able to do this. And I would just start feeling really negative every time I would get their email, when I would go to their website, when I would see their new program they were promoting, or when they would do a launch and they would send out all these different types of mailers. And it started to impact my business in a bad way. It started to make me lose faith. I had a very big lack of confidence in myself. The excitement and the passion I had in the beginning started to slowly dwindle and go away. And I remember just feeling like, this is unfair. It's unfair that I'm working my ass off and I'm not getting results and they are. And so I really just started getting jealous. I started getting pissed off. I was negative. I was angry. I was beating myself up about it. And I wasn't looking at them as a leader anymore. I was looking at them as like an enemy. Like, you are competition, you're an enemy, you think you're better than me, like, you're killing it out there and doing amazing, like, what the hell makes you think you're special? And it became that really bad energy. So I know that some of you can relate with what I'm saying here, because you've either verbalized it to me, or maybe we've had a conversation, and I've talked with a lot of different women, like I said at the beginning of this video, and this is kind of what they're feeling, this is what they're going through. And so I I want to give a different spin. I want you to look at this a little differently. So here was the shift I had. I was talking to my coach about this, and I was explaining to her how I was feeling. And so she said, well, Ann, you can do one of two things. You can just remove them and stop following them, and just not see what they're doing anymore. Like, lose the connection with them, take them off your Facebook, get off their list, stop going to their website, just disconnect as if they're not there. And she's like, how does that feel for you? And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that because I want to see what they're doing. Like, they're promoting great things. Like, for some reason, I didn't really want to detach myself. Even though I was having these negative feelings, I was like, but I want to see what they're doing. And I wanted to know. I was very attracted to what they were doing, so I didn't want to really disconnect. And so she said, well, the other option then is, and that you can look at this differently. They're doing what you want to do, right? So instead of being jealous about it, why don't you learn from it? And I'm like, okay, what do you mean learn from it? And she gave me the suggestion to, instead of picking apart their success and the hard work they've put in to get where they are, why don't you look at their patterns? Why don't you look at what it is they are doing to create that? And then see what parts of that would apply to your business, or see what you could do differently in your business. So instead of looking at them as competition, why don't you look at them as a path to the direction you could go, or as a leader, as someone you could follow, as someone you could learn from? And she's like, you're already on their list. You're already following them on social media. You visit their website. Why don't you look at some of the patterns and some of the habits that they all each have that have allowed them to have that success? And why don't you learn from them? This was a big slap in my face, because you have to remember I had a lot of negative feelings and energy towards these people. And so to have my coach give me this new perspective, it was a little bit of a shift, right? I had to look at them differently. And for me, it's very challenging once you have these feelings to sort of erase them or replace them with something else, right? And so I was very open to that, and I did begin to look at it differently. And so what I started with was like, okay, I'm on their list. I'm going to go back into the emails that they've sent me, and I want to look at the pattern. I want to look at my very first connection with them, like what happened in that very first email, and then what followed that, right? And so I began to do that with each of these. There was about 3 of them. And I went to each of their pages, and I was on their list, and I went back into the emails, and I went and looked at their site, and I looked at their social media pages, and I studied what they were doing. And actually, it was really amazing. I really was attracted to their message. I was attracted to the way they were putting it out there. I loved their emails. I was able to, like, even if I wasn't interested really in what they were talking about, I still wanted to read the whole email because it was kind of a tease. It was attractive. It was engaging, and it was just very interesting. It piqued my curiosity. And so I began to look at it differently, and I'm like, these women have a point. This is amazing. And so when I stopped looking at it from a hatred, negative, jealousy point of view, and I looked at it as a business perspective, I was able to read between the lines a little bit. I was actually able to look at the email in a different way and read through them and understand it from a business perspective, and that made sense to me. So aside from their gorgeous images and their flawlessness and all of that, I was able to read between the lines, and I was able to see what they were doing from a business side of things. You know, the habit, the repetitiveness, the messaging behind it, right? Like the intention behind these emails was more than just the glamorous photos. Because before that's what I was looking at, right? But then I read the emails and I read the message and I understood where they were coming from, which made me understand what they were all doing that was kind of the same, that was bringing them those results, right? And so that helped me have some respect for them. Their hard work to clarify that message. And then when I could see the intention behind the emails and the messages they were putting out there, they were really showing up to serve people and to help people and to make a difference. And that changed my perspective. And so the moral of this rant, I guess, is instead of being jealous, I think that jealousy can be a good thing if you can look at it in a way of, if they're doing it, I can do it too. And they're leading the way. So instead of being a negative jealous, you could be a good positive jealous where it's like, ooh, I love what they're doing. This is amazing. She's gorgeous. The pictures and images are beautiful. The messaging is perfect. Let me see, what it is she's doing that's so great and that's working for her. And let's see what parts of that could work for me. And so by allowing that jealousy in a positive way, I was able to see that what's possible for them is also possible for me. And if they're doing it, I can do it too. And so the other piece to that I noticed that's really key here is that the reason I was feeling negative is because the very thing that they were doing that I was jealous about is what I wanted to be doing, right? So I was resisting speaking and doing videos. But when they would send out videos, I stopped everything to watch them. I waited every week for those videos, right? And I would be negative, like, oh, another video. But I would watch it. The reason is because deep down I wanted to be doing videos too, right? And when I would see beautiful emails coming out and the message was so beautiful, and I would say, oh, God, of course it's perfect. You're so perfect. You think whatever. And I would be all negative. The true reason behind that was because I wanted beautiful messages too, right? I wanted to write a beautiful message that would have an impact on others. So I actually wanted all the things that they had. And so sometimes if you can tap into that jealousy, you can actually learn that it's not really jealousy. It's a desire. So it's actually, you want that too. And so sometimes when someone has something that we don't want, we can take that as a negative point of view. We can be jealous or negative about it. But if you dig a little deeper, chances are you're jealous because you want the same thing. And so you could learn from them. You could look at it that way and say, wait a second. I don't really hate her videos. I love her videos. I want to do videos, right? Or I want to speak. I want a message that is, so flawless and speaks to people that it makes such a big impact on the people that I'm writing it to, right? So take a look at where you feel you might be a little bit jealous or where there's some jealousy coming up and tap into that a little bit and see if, in fact, you want that same thing and that's why those feelings are coming up, right? Because unless you wanted it, there'd be no reason to be jealous, right? We don't hate people for being successful, but we would be envious if we want that success too, right? So that could come off in a negative way. So maybe see if you can switch it up, tap into to what it is you really want and see if maybe that's why that's coming up for you. And if so, let that be your motivator to learn from them and take a look at what it is they're doing that you could be doing differently so that you can receive those results as well. Because what's available for one is available for all, right? So hopefully this helps you, give you a new perspective. And of course, by all means, if you feel that you're still struggling with that, then I would suggest maybe taking a break from connecting with that person or following their things. You could get off their list, you could unfriend them or just, unfollow them on social media and stop visiting their website, of course, if it's really having that big impact. But the exercise that I would recommend for you is to really see why that's coming up for you. Is this something that maybe you desire and that's why it's coming up? So take a look into that. Definitely let me know below what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear what you think, or any suggestions that you might have that could help other people. Because certainly we all want to be able to help one another, and we all want to work together and have a bigger impact on the world. So we don't want to be competing against each other. We want to come together and support one another. So let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye, ladies.